Hey everybody, it's Mo Bunnell, your host at Real Relationships, Real Revenue. I'm joined by Kim Davenport today. Kim's a partner at the consulting firm Scott Madden. She's also Director of Diversity and Inclusion for Scott Madden. And those two perspectives, those two hats, the external and the internal, really all weave through today's episode where Kim shares her personal definition of business development. And we dive deep into, well, let me say this way, some cool things that I think you're going to want to have, including a three-step process for how you can drive change within your organization. So before we get into it, know if you want our best thinking on how you can deepen relationships, head over to growbigplaybook.com. That's growbigplaybook.com. You're going to get a chance to download our latest thought piece on how you deepen relationships very, very, very quickly. That's at growbigplaybook.com. Okay, here is Kim Davenport. Hey everybody, Mo Bunnell here. As you know, your host here at Real Relationships, Real Revenue. I'm with Kim Davenport. She's a partner at the consulting firm Scott Madden. They do all kinds of big technical energy-based consulting, and then they also do a lot of shared services consulting and some other things. And Kim is also the Director of Diversity and Inclusion across all of Scott Madden. So a couple different hats, external leadership, internal leadership. Kim's got it all. So Kim, really interested in this for you because I always like asking questions where I'm not sure where it's going to go. So I can't wait to see where this goes.
Okay.
What's your personal definition of business development? And the reason for the audience I ask this is business development, being a change agent, going to where people haven't ever gone before so you can create value in some way. It's hard. It's really hard. So I think it's important to know, like for all of us, what's our personal definition? Why is it worth the fight? How about you? Let's go.
Oh, that's not an easy question, Mo. I think about the definition of business development for me being kind of almost a three-part. Obviously, there's the obvious part. There's I want to identify an opportunity and I want to earn from it, which I think people tend to go there immediately. And I've quickly learned that's a mistake because you got to focus on what I consider the main parts of the business development definition, which is personal development. So making myself and growing myself to be an advisor, a guide, a lead to my potential clients. So that means I have to be smart on clients. I have to be smart on, industry. I have to be smart on technology, just being aware. And then there's the helping the client side, the building a relationship and helping a client or organization get better side. You pair those two things together, the opportunity will come.
Yeah, I really like that. And there's a lot of things that motivate people, but I see a lot of the folks that love Grow Big training and Snowball System and that are really high achievers. They have a love of learning. Like it's the journey that never ends. They're always trying to get a little bit better. I sense that in you, and then obviously that helping the client side of it. How do you think of it different? So if those are our two big things we're trying to do, we're helping ourselves and we're helping the other in learning on each side, each step of the way. How do you think of that externally in your role for bringing in and leading really big, complicating consulting offerings? And then I'm also curious, how do you think of those two things internally as you think about being a director of diversity and inclusion for a large firm? So maybe we start externally first, go back and forth a little bit, and then let's turn our lens to internally.
Okay. So how do I think about that definition externally? I want to make sure I understand.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about learning for yourself and when you're thinking about helping the client, what gets you up in the morning? Like business development's this hard work thing. Like you might meet somebody at a conference, some big energy conference, and they don't lie back to you the first 7 times you reach out to them, but you're like, I know I can help you, right? Like, so what keeps you going, and how do you think about the being the change agent that you are? Let us peek behind the curtain. Like, how do you go about it externally, and then we'll circle back to internally after that.
Gosh, I think beyond the dollar sign, and I know that sounds so right, Kim, but I'm thinking about how that opportunity or how a potential opportunity might impact not just an organization or a client generically, but individual people. I mean, I recall before my role became more focused on business development when I was part of executing on these opportunities, still am, but even then, understanding the impact of these different projects we would do, in consulting and, different work that we would do and how it will impact even down to the single individual person or contributor. And if there's anything I can do to help that, even if that means sending an eighth, ninth, 10th email or reaching out or sharing
Yeah.
some articles to
Yeah.
help you understand that I understand what you need and I can help you, so that eventually this ends up helping your organization and eventually this ends up helping an individual person maybe live their life a little better, I'm all for it. And it sounds so pie in the sky. I know, Mo, even coming out of my mouth, it sounds so, teddy bears and save the world, but it's really what keeps me going. I have a passion to help, however that looks.
Well, I think of it the same way, Kim. Like, I was sharing this with my wife Becky the other day. Like, I don't even see a difference in two Zoom calls, say that are back to back. Used to be in person maybe, but these days you have all these back to back calls. I don't see a difference at all in how I engage on that call, whether it's a potential client that can purchase from us, or maybe it's a friend that used to be a client that's looking for a career change and wants some advice or whatever. Like, I literally don't
That's
prepare
right.
any differently. I prepare for them both. I think about follow-ups for the both. I don't dial up or dial down one follow-up level for one or the
Yeah.
other. I'm just thinking about helping people, and it just I just feel like if you keep doing that, if you're a net value adder at every conversation, eventually things will come back to you. So, like, is that the way you go about it?
It really is. It was fun. It's funny you mentioned whether it's, for a business opportunity or personally. I think about just recently helping out a friend prepare for her daughter's, graduation party. And I said, I'm totally going to
Yeah.
help because I want this to be the best thing. I want her to have the time of her life. And I'm literally over there. I'm pulling out flip charts. I'm walking through, helping facilitate the thought process. Let's get these action items going. And I'm giving her full on Kim consultant service, like, we could call it a pro bono opportunity if you want, but I feel that same way. That passion to help, it spans my life, not just professionally.
Yeah, there you go. And like for everybody, for the whole audience, it doesn't mean you're just doing 90% of your time on the things that can't help you. On the proactive things, maybe we're a little more focused on client relationships and building those and all that, the things you got to do for your job.
Mhm.
But when I look at my agenda, my diary, my calendar, whatever, to your point, I just want to help. So
Mhm.
then, I also know, let's stay external for a minute. I know
Okay.
you're also really, really proactive. You've shared that with me, I think in the airport the other day, just about always not just reacting to those emails that are coming in and trying to help a potential client, but you're proactive too. How do you stay on top of that proactivity? How do you stay on top of trying to create the relationship you want to create, if it doesn't exist yet?
It's not easy. I mean, heck, like you said, we were having our conversation in the middle of an airport, traveling from one event to a business event to another. So it's not easy, but you got to carve out time. You almost make it.
Mm,
I think about days in the week where I would block time on my calendar to say, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to think a little bit about potential opportunity. I'm going to think a little bit about that conversation I had with a client last week where they were talking about they're going to be doing this, you might need some help. What can I do to assist? But it really is making it a priority, carving out that time just like you would do for anything else that keeps you busy, for meetings with people, for, executing on work, making sure you have the time to do it and then actually sticking to that
yeah, and acting on it right there. So I
and
love
acting.
that, because you're basically, somebody said to me, we judge our priorities not by our to-do list, but by our calendar. So
Mhm.
you're taking that to the level where you're saying, this is sort of my proactive, important investment time. And then when that block comes up, you're figuring out how you can be helpful to somebody else, and you're just
That's right.
continuing Yeah. So okay.
That's
So
right.
now let's turn the lens internally. So you're director of diversity and inclusion at Scott Madden. You're trying to drive all the positive change you can with that hat on too, just like you are with the external hat in your clients. How do
That's
you
right.
think about D&I and driving change internally in a way that's a win for everybody?
Whew, you got 2 hours to go
Yeah.
into this. Man, I diversity and inclusion, you think BD is a passion for me. This is a high passion for me. It's significant. And in terms of bettering our firm overall, so we're talking about BD, we're talking about creating these opportunities, but does our firm have the value it needs to deliver? And yeah, of course it does, but just think about how much more value we have when we look at things like diversity and inclusion, where we're creating an environment of diverse people. We have diverse clients. We should have diverse people in our firm to serve these clients, to connect, to build relationships. That's the way you're going to be able to do that. Creating an environment where our people internally feel like they're part of it, they're included. They're going to deliver their best service, and they're going to enable us to create value for our clients, and they're going to enable those BD and those relationships. People are going to want to connect with us. They're going to want to build relationships with us. And eventually that means they'll want to partner with us on more opportunities. So diversity and inclusion and building up our firm so that we can better serve and better connect with our clients or potential new clients. It all goes hand in hand to me.
Yeah.
That's the 2 minute version,
Well,
Mo.
I know you held
Not the
back.
2 hour.
That was like that was like the teaser or the trailer for the movie, the full movie.
For
We
the
just get the
movie.
trailer, but not the whole thing. But
Exactly.
but let's dig deeper. I'm super interested because back in, I mean, I'm going back 20 years ago, but when I was at Hewitt Associates and a partner, and then we use different terms, but effectively a partner and senior partner there in the end, Hewitt was really cutting edge. I mean, we had women partners long before most professional service firms. There was a guy named Andres Tapia. He's now, I think, at Korn Ferry. Andres is just the most cutting edge D&I thinker I've ever met. Like his books are great. He was creating groups of people before this was a thing. I mean, we're back in the late 90s at this point. And he was doing things now some companies are doing for the first time. He was doing 20 years ago almost, or gosh, over 20 years ago. And anyway, I guess my question to you is, what I think is cool about DNI is there's no one approach. There's lots of ways to impact it. All those results you talked about are the same for everybody, but some people don't know how to get there. So put on your like engineering hat, your process hat, because I know you've got a big brain about getting things done. How does somebody get things done when it comes to DNI?
The first thing you have to do is it has to be a passion. It has to be a priority. So the first thing that we need to do is get everybody on the same page. All that value that I just talked about, everything you get out of DNI, let's get everybody on the same page that it's the right thing to do. It's what we should be doing, and it's value added to our organization and to our people. Okay, everybody's online with that. And then let's start, you got to start doing. A lot of times with DNI, folks are, trying to figure out what's the best activities we can do, the best initiatives, what's all the training we need to have and all of that. And those things are important. But just understanding if this is where we are, if this is why DNI is important to us, understanding where our people are. We did things like we did surveys just to understand where's everybody's head
Mm,
when it comes to DNI within our firm. What do they believe that we believe as leaders? What are their perceptions? So getting an understanding of where you want to go, where you are, and then starting to close the gap between, okay, if this is our mission around DNI and this is why it's important to us and this is where our people are and this is where our group understanding is, let's get everybody on the same page. Let's close those gaps. And then you can start what I call tackling the world. I mean, it's a journey, so there's no end. You're always going to be, in my opinion, I always think of it as one step behind when it comes to DNI because it keeps me forging on. Keeps me forging on. I got to move forward because there's always something to do. There's always a way to get better. There's always a way to improve around diversity and inclusion. So that would be my process, if you want to call it that. Other people may follow a different path, but that's what I think.
no, it totally makes sense because you can't skip right to the doing
Mhm.
You had step three was sort of close the gap. But if people don't have the passion, or if the leadership doesn't view it as a priority,
Mhm.
you
That's
can't
right.
really get anywhere meaningful. So I really liked your three steps. Make it a passion, make it a priority. Step one. Step two, start doing whatever the first thing is. Like I loved your intake, an idea of survey, focus groups, whatever, talking to people, sort of figure out where you're at. And then the step three, every day you're closing that gap. I loved your tackle the world idea. Well,
Yeah,
any last thought, like as we close out this episode, any last thoughts about um, maybe we'll cover the why, like go a little deeper around what do you think some of those bets are for really doing those three steps and really tackling D&I with vigor, and then we'll end after that.
and I'm sorry, what do I think some of the I didn't quite hear your
Yeah, so what are some of the big benefits, Kim, that you've
Mhm.
already, like you're already a little down this, you're probably a little farther down the road than some are. So what do you see as the benefits for somebody making this a passion, making this a priority?
It, it's the benefits are just your people. So internally, I mean, they really are operating in an environment where they can be successful, where they can feel valued, where they want to give. You talk about a benefit, they want to give their all. They want
Yeah,
to give 100% to the organization. So that's internally. If I'm in an organization where I feel included, where I feel like I belong, where I feel like I'm respected and valued, where I see other faces that look like mine, hey, I want to hang out here and I want to make this place successful. And if we're successful, we can make our clients successful as well.
yeah, I like that a lot. I'm a middle-aged white guy. Everybody can see it, but I've got some close, close,
Really?
close family members. Yes, I am, and balding too, Kim. You might not have noticed that, but maybe you did.
Oh, okay. I
But yeah,
see.
but I've got some really close family members that, for different reasons, have had headwinds against them, and so I've seen this up close from that perspective as a dad, as a close family member, and anyway, I'll close with that. I just couldn't feel more. I'm very passionate about this too, so I just want to say thank you
Right.
for being on the show. Thank you for talking about this, and I think it's
Mhm.
neat. If your personal definition of BD is for developing yourself, learning things, and helping others, like you mentioned, gosh, doing that with clients, doing it internally, whether these are just things all of us can grab a hold of and make the positive change you want. So, Kim, thanks for being on the show. Where should people go to connect with you?
Absolutely. I'd love to continue the conversation, especially around D&I. So email me, Kimberly Davenport at scottmadden.com, or reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect.
Awesome, and we'll put those down in the show notes too, everybody. So if you want to connect with Kim, she'll talk to you all day long about this stuff,
All
which
day
I
long.
love. Kim, thanks for being on the show, everybody. Follow, subscribe, set up those notifications. We've got 3 more awesome episodes with Kim coming up, and I just can't wait. Thanks, Kim.
Awesome. Thank you.